Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. If you've been watching the left, they have been touting, and this has been, I don't know when last time I saw it, it's probably been a week or two, but they were touting, that the Democrats are, optimistic about going into 2018 with the, election cycle and all this, and it's starting to dwindle. Haven't heard much about it recently, and I've been giving you guys polls in the last hour. We talked about shocking polls around Obama surveillance. We've talked about the shocking poll post Donald Trump's State of the Union address. And here's what's so sad about all of this. If the left just came along and said, you know what, guys, you were right. Donald Trump's done a really good job. We still feel like we have philosophical differences. We'd like to address those, but he seems reasonable. And a perfect example is DACA, but I'm not going to get into that right now because I'm going to run out of time. But you would think that these guys would just finally do a mea culpa and say, let's work together. I mean, that's what this is all supposed to be about. But they aren't doing it. And so what I've made a prediction is, and I'm going to say it again. I told you guys I'll say it until it finally comes true so I can remind you, because I do want to tell you, I did not kill Osama bin Laden, but I did predict that Donald Trump will become the next president of the United States. And I was one of the few people that was very confident about it. I never wavered, and certainly, yea, verily, it happened. And yes, I am a guru. So there you go. But there's another poll that and I'm just starting to see this, and this poll came out about, I don't know, a week, maybe a week and a half ago. And it was in the Washington Examiner, and here's what it says. Democratic lead in generic House ballot collapses from 15% to 2%. So they were saying that the Democrats had a lead in terms of who's going to run the House or whatever. And I don't even know how they calculated it, but I'll tell you what the article says. It says Republicans are gaining on their Democratic counterparts in the generic House ballot, a new poll published recently found. Democrats maintain a lead over the GOP on the generic ballot, with 47% of registered voters saying they'd support Democratic candidates over Republicans if the election were held today. 45% of voters would support GOP candidates. Now, this was a Monmouth University poll. So 47% would favor Democratic candidates over Republicans. 45% of voters would support GOP candidates. Now, this, again, we're a year into Donald Trump at this point. I mean, over a year. And that's the polling, according to Monmouth University, that still people prefer Democrats over Republicans. And I can only presume that they believe Republicans are obstructionists, that they shut down the government, that they don't stand for the principles of Barack Obama, blah, blah, blah. Who knows? But here's what they said. The latest figures for the generic ballot are a marked shift from December, when 51% of voters said they would back Democrats, compared to 36% who would cast ballots for Republicans. Let that sink in. I just want you to soak in that. I want you to marinate for just a minute. If we got any Barry White, we can play while people are marinating. Boom, boom, cha. I'm never gonna give you up. I'm never gonna stop. Anyway, so here's the deal. Sexy talk aside, sexy voice aside of Kevin Jackson, that is huge. In a month, I think those are December versus January numbers. In a month, the Democrats supposedly had a 51 to 36% advantage over Republicans, over who the country wanted to see running things. Now, keep in mind, this doesn't affect most of the races. Most of these races these guys have enough money, they got enough momentum. But now it's 47 to 45, 2%, which has to be within the margin of error, as they say. But that's within a month. I want you to picture a 15-point swing going to a 2-point swing. What do you think it's going to be next month? I mean, for what they register in February. You think it's going to be maybe a 3-4 point swing towards the Republicans? What happens when the Democrats watch that poll swing and suddenly it's a 15% gap, Republicans ahead of Democrats? Now, I don't care what the poll numbers are. I'm just telling you what that's what they said. That's what they reported. But here's what I want to show you. I want to talk to you about trends, because that's the biggest deal. So we talked about surveillance poll, people believing that Obama surveilled Donald Trump. And 83% of Republicans say he did, 55% of independents say he did, and 31% of Democrats say he did. He surveilled him. 54% want to see a special counsel applied to this latest development. Now, prior to that, the polls for the State of the Union, 97% of Republicans said it was amazing, 72% of independents said it was amazing, and 43% of Democrats said it was amazing. Now, go back and look at any poll from when Donald Trump, from the moment he took office, they said he's the lowest polling president to win election. When he got elected, I'm talking about his president-elect. When he went into office, they said he's the lowest polling president to be sworn in. They still want Hillary, the popular vote, blah, 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 right? They were telling you this is what's going on with the polls. And suddenly, you in the very same polling that is not heavily, but it's certainly skewed towards Democrats. I think it's heavily. It's skewed towards Democrats and independents. You're now seeing numbers in the 50+ percentile that are Trump is moving in the right direction. We like the new version of this. We certainly approve of Trump in this regard. And you've got this monumental shift. We're not talking about 1 or 2 points, folks. We're talking about monumental shift. Imagine you're a Democrat strategist, and 2 months ago, you had numbers that showed Trump at 36%, and suddenly he's now at 47%. And your number's gone way down. What are you thinking? Tell me what's mama's milk for these guys right now. I'd like to know, what are they going to hang their hat on? Voting no to the tax cut? To this tax bill? What are they going to hang their hat on? The overhaul of Obamacare that actually gets people out and getting to use their medical care? What are they going to hang their hat on? The drop in unemployment that continues, the jobs that are coming back to America, an economy that's flourishing, stock market notwithstanding. That's not going to be, you can talk about the fact that it's gone up, and certainly it's retracted some, but I'm going to tell you something. That's actually good news. What are you talking about, Kevin? It is. It's good news, because you need it to retract a bit so that by the time it goes into 2018 November, you're looking at it starting to rise again. You would think that it gave back all its gains. The stock market lost some momentum. But yeah, I want it to retract, because once it starts rising again and it hits 2018, November of 2018, you're going to see people going, holy cow, because the rest of the economy is already going to be in the midst of being fixed. So good news for us.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.